Hey, this is Nathalie Lussier from Waykeeper Farm and Nerdery, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the figs that we have growing in our greenhouse. Right now we're in early December 2023, and this is the state of one of our fig trees. So I ended up planting 3 fig trees here in this big greenhouse, and you'll see here that there are still tons of figs coming on and putting on more growth. We are in zone 6B from southern Ontario, very close to Lake Erie and upstate New York, if that gives you some context. Some of the leaves here for the fig tree are starting to wane, and that's because the days are getting shorter, it's getting colder here at night, and that's totally normal. All the figs will lose their leaves over the winter and go dormant, so that's actually great for where we live because it is pretty cold, but they're going to bounce back in the spring and put on the growth. So one thing, if you're not familiar with growing figs, is that they grow figs only on new branch growth for the year. So what you want to do is have as many branches as possible coming off of your figs so that you'll have more figs coming on as well. So what I'm planning to do is to prune these back quite a bit. So as you can see in the context of the greenhouse here, this is pretty much in the middle of the greenhouse, and it's also taking over the pathway. So I'm definitely going to be cutting pretty much all of this growth back, and I'll probably keep 1 liter and maybe a couple of offshoots, and then make sure that it has enough space and time to grow well for spring. You'll also see that we have some blackberries interspersed here, so these blackberries are growing quite well. You can see one over there just ripening, and yeah, we're just experimenting with what we want to grow in the greenhouse. So here are the other 2 fig trees. So these I ended up putting right next to the side wall, the north wall of the greenhouse, and I'm really happy with my choice to do that because they take a lot of space, and because they're on the north wall, they're not going to shade things on the other side. But my plan with these big fig trees is once they go dormant, I'm going to take some cuttings, obviously do some pretty heavy pruning, and then try to propagate this fig into more and more trees along the side here of the greenhouse and the north wall. I think it works really, really well for the setup that we have, and I'm really happy with that. So let's show you a couple of the figs here. So we've already picked, I want to say 40, maybe 50 figs off of these 2 trees and the other one that I showed earlier, and they're really, really prolific. And I'm really surprised by how many figs we've gotten so far. So I'll pick this one. It's really ripe, nice and soft. So that's what you want for a fig. So this is only the second winter and the second year that we've had these planted in ground. You can see they grew extremely well, and you can also see how thick they're starting to get around the bottom here. And I'll show you, this is where I pruned last spring. So basically over winter, after it went dormant, I pruned right here. This is where I cut back the tree, and then this came out, all of these branches came out, and that's where all the growth of figs came from. You'll notice that all of our fig trees are planted in ground in our greenhouse. To me, this is one of the biggest benefits of having a greenhouse like this, is to be able to plant in ground so that the trees can grow even better and stronger and make even more figs. So I like to always think about, the balance of how big is the top of the tree and how big are the roots underneath. I think just adding compost each year, some mulch, and making sure that your trees are taken care of is going to be amazing. So these are figs that we've had here for about 2 years, and you can see how much growth we've had. This one is definitely bending down to try to get more light, so I did put them a little bit too close in my opinion, and I will probably space out the others that I plant a little bit further out. But at the same time, with some good pruning, I think we can still get really good growth on all of these and continue to get tons of figs each year. Questions about growing fig trees in a greenhouse, I'm all ears. I'd love for you to leave those comments and questions below, and I'll do more videos about growing figs and other semi-tropical or subtropical fruits like these ones.